Good morning, y'all. Hope all is well. I wanted to open up with just a little word of inspiration here. I love this. I got this. My son, my 2-year-old, brought this home, this picture, brought it home from his gun last Friday, and I love it. You see what it is? This is Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh, and she's reaching out her arm to grab little baby Moshe here in the basket. And this is what the 2-year-olds are getting fed in terms of education here. And I'm so in love with this vision because the basic story behind this here work of art, this beautiful work of art, is that, as everybody knows, last week's Parsha was about the story of little baby Moshe put on the basket on his drift towards death, this poor innocent child. And the daughter of the Pharaoh is out bathing, and she sees the basket, and she sends out her amata. She sends out her arm, or one could say her handmaid, and we'll get back to that in a second. And she grabs the basket, and the rest is history. That moment of grabbing the basket, I think, is really key here, and I think holds a lot of instruction for us in our lives. So I'm so happy that my little 2-year-old is getting this instruction right here with this image. Because what is this image? So it's this image of this miraculously long, silly putty arm reaching out to grab the basket. And I love that so much because, Robert Browning said, man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? Our reach should exceed our grasp, which is true. We should reach out and, shoot for the stars. You might end up in the trees. That's certainly a motto for life, is like, go for it. Go for the big reaches, and if you don't quite get it, then what else is a heaven for? There's this sense of yearning that's involved, and that's a noble orientation. But I really like this orientation, which is, stretch out your hand, and your hand will believe that your hand actually can turn into silly putty, and reach these astounding lengths beyond what is possible. And the Midrash says that her hand actually, she extended it, and out it went, like extending, and her arm grew miraculously long. Now, there's a really interesting discussion and almost argument or difference of opinions as to what is this amata. Rashi says that she went and she didn't reach out her hand, but she sent out her handmaid. And I love the wording around that, because what's a handmaid? It's the same imagery of an amata, which means a hand, but a handmaid, it's also like a right hand man. It's an extension of your hand when you need a helping hand. So much of the imagery that we use around, a helper person is a right hand man, a person that you send out to the handmaid who goes and does the grasping and the bringing it in. But then there has to be some explanation for if you do use the original understanding, which is that it's just her arm. And so that's when the commentators jump in and say, wait, it's not just her arm. Her arm wouldn't have been enough. She needs this miraculous place of being able to extend beyond the laws of nature. And it's actually her. It's not a handmaid who does it. It's actually her accessing a miraculous place inside of ability within herself. And with that, she reaches out and the tikhacha, and she takes this thing. She takes this basket. She takes her dreams. So much of, I think, what we're looking at and working with in our own lives, thank God we have the leisure and the luxury of working on self-development, of working on this idea of what are your dreams and how can you reach out and grab them. And I think that this is such a strong, beautiful image to instill in our children as to, like, how do you do that? Yes, we have within us miraculous abilities to stretch beyond what is humanly possible. So in this idea of how do we grasp our dreams, how do we reach out and grasp our dreams, I think that one of the things that really stands out as to why this is such a model for us, why the daughter of Pharaoh is such a model to us, is that she's the perfect model of this thing called compassion, of rachamim. The text says that she looked in the basket and she saw the baby crying, and she heard the baby crying, and she felt the child's pain. What is compassion? Compassion is exactly that. It's the ability to see it, to see the basket and say, whoa, something is off there, to pull it close to us, to open it up, to open up an issue, and to see and then to feel, to hear the pain of the other, and then to feel a resonance of that pain within ourselves. And then the third step is to act on it. and to do something different because of feeling the impact of that pain. And that moment when she chooses to, reach out and miraculously grasp this thing, which is beyond her own sense of self. I think that's a really important piece, is it's not her amata, it's not her handmaid who's doing it. It's actually her, but she's reaching beyond herself in this miraculous way and bringing the thing and then feeling the compassion within herself and then acting to change it. I think that that's what we all are faced with when we look at a world full of pain, but yet it's kind of at a distance. The floating basket drifting towards death, it's at a distance. But that ability to see the pain in the world and the ache in the world and the crying in the world, to draw it close to us, to open it up, look into it, and then to hear the pain in the other, and then to feel it in ourselves, and then to act on it. This is such an amazing model for how to grasp our dreams. Because usually when we think of grasping our dreams, we think of this external place of, I'm going to fulfill my calling. It's very me-centered, right? Which is great, and thank God, like we come out, we're a generation of empowered, me-oriented people, and that's a good thing. But I think the antidote, in a way, to the ills that might come from that me-centered, I can grasp my dreams and tikach, take it. The orientation here is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to help others. I'm going to do it because I feel compassion for the pain that I see in the world around me, and I'm moved by that. And I think that when we look at our dreams that we want to accomplish in our lives, there is a place that is importantly connected to our own self-fulfillment. Mazel tov, fine. But when we get to that place of that miraculous extending of our hand beyond ourself, it has to be beyond ourself. If the dreams are really going to come true, if we're really going to if we're really going to take it and grasp it, and it's not just Robert Browning's, our reach to exceed our grasp. If we're actually going to grasp it and bring it in, I think we need this element of it coming from a place of compassion and of action, social justice, of action and giving and care for the pain in the world around us. When we come to our dreams from a place of, the world needs me to dream this. There's pain out there in the world. And my dreaming this and reaching out to grasp this better reality, I'm doing it for a place of service and a place of calling for something bigger than me. I'm reaching out my hand and I extend beyond myself because I'm connecting with somebody else. It's not just myself. When we stretch out beyond ourself and our self-interest, then that allows us to make those miraculous stretching arm moments like this. But we can't just come from a place of self-interest. I mean, it can, and that might work too, to some extent. But at the end of the day, the really grand, saving graces of history and our lives are those moments when we're able to really have rachamim and to extend beyond ourselves and to hear the pain of another, and then to base my dreams on that. Blessings that we should have good, holy models throughout our life, and that we should strive from a place of compassion.